I know that, there's so many things I want to ask you, but at the very beginning, what led you to the idea of using equipment as the instrument? What made you think that? Because clearly you were way ahead of the curve on that.
Well, essentially, I wanted to do something in music, and I don't play any musical instruments. I can't read any music. So I just had to think, if I were going to do this, how can I do it?
You know who else did that?
Who?
Eno.
Yes.
I mean, exactly the same. And your stuff, that ambient stuff, this stuff that we heard tonight, is very, very similar. But so I'm just really intrigued before we show this incredible documentary and talk to Larry a little bit also, because he's done an exquisite job on this thing. Is how did you, go sort of tangentially? I'm sure Crowley was in there in the mix. When did you get into that occult, Gnostic, Rosicrucian world? Were you very young when that happened?
I was 13. I was watching a television show called Dark Shadows. And the character in Dark Shadows said he was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. Right? And he was taking this potion. He says, "This is to bridge the gap in man's divided nature." And like a light bulb went off in my head. Yes, man does have a divided nature, but it shouldn't be. That's the way of the world. That's not the way of God.
Well, you've had to deal with a lot of controversy and a lot of sort of, I guess, character assassination, haven't you? In terms of the fascism and the... Yeah, so, which I think is absolutely spectacular, because clearly, as an artist, you are using convention-smashing ethic in order to get your point across, which is what? In a nutshell, what would you say that your life's work has been about? Or I don't even know if you can answer such a, torrid question. But.
Well, it's essentially the same thing, bridging the gap in man's divided nature, realizing two aspects. There's two aspects to nature. There's a balance.
Now we're talking light and dark here?
Light and dark, creative force, destructive force. There should be a balance between them and reciprocity. And that's what works for me. And I think most people, are on this bipolar, dualistic thing. It really doesn't work for anybody.
I think that the duality is that they're asleep or they're awake. It would seem to me that they're either in a coma, which people like you hopefully will wake them up. And I know that sounds very elitist, but I know you have no problem with elitism.
No. I mean, when I was a kid, I just thought, how come I seem to be a little bit smarter and cleverer than everybody else? How come I can see what's going on? And I tell people, hey, look what's going on. They say, no, that's not true.
When did you become disillusioned with the idea of saying that might is right, and there are cleverer ones, and there are leaders and there are followers? When did you, or did you ever feel that one could learn as a leader from the follower?
Well, I think you can learn something from anybody. I'm learning this stuff all the time.
And that's what keeps you current. And current really isn't the word, is it?
I don't know.
What are you, speaking of that, all of the things that you've been through, I'm very interested in the Gnosticism, though, the spirituality of it, because, clearly the most sensationalistic thing I could ask you is about LaVey. Hence, your physical appearance is very reminiscent of that, that late 60s, 70s, Jim Mansfield blowing Sammy Davis.
I never had a green beard like this.
Give him a big round of applause for the beard, please. Just change your name to Beard Rice, which is interesting. So Anton, tell us all about that. What the hell is that?
When I was 13, the Satanic Bible came out. I got it. I liked it. And then when I moved to San Francisco, I would, literally every other month, I would meet somebody and say, you know who you should meet? Anton LaVey, because he's into the same things you're into.
How old is he then?
He's dead. Oh, then he was probably 64.
And you were?
Early 30s.
Right. And you found a bond with him, philosophically?
Well, I met him, and he had read about me, and we were into all the same kind of girl group music and stuff like that, and weird pop culture stuff. Because when people said, you should meet him, they'd say it because I'd say, I love Tiny Tim. He'd say, you know who you should meet? Anton LaVey last time.
Oh boy, that's the title of somebody's book. Wow. Yeah, Miss Pamela loved Tiny Tim too. So you connected with him. What kind of relationship was that? Because we're always, left with the picture that it's this demonic, dangerous, evil thing. But to me, it was theater. I mean, was it to him?
Part of it was theater. I mean, he was a showman, and he came up in the circus and the carnival and stuff like that. So he knew the techniques of showmanship. But he also realized that there's something in the human psyche that needs that. There's a theatricality in everything.
Well, you say that in the literature about you, that villains are very necessary in our culture, right?
Yes.
So he was part of that.
Yes.
I'm going to bring in Larry, because I know that clearly he deserves to be spoken to.